The apartment on the top floor had big windows that showed the bright city lights below. But Ji-hoon wasn't looking outside. He was watching the woman sleeping quietly in his arms. Her dark skin looked beautiful against the white sheets. He slowly moved his fingers along her shoulder, watching her breathe in and out. Maya moved a little, her eyes opening to show the deep brown color that always made his heart beat faster. "You're staring at me again," she said softly, a small smile on her lips. "I can't help it," Ji-hoon said, his voice quiet and deep. "Do you know how long I've waited for this? To have you here with me, where you should be? Before we start, write your name and where in the world you are watching from in the comments below." She reached up and touched his face, running her fingers along his jaw. "Ji-hoon." He took her hand and kissed her palm. "I would burn this whole city down for you, Maya. I would destroy anyone who ever made you feel like you weren't good enough." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "You already did." Ji-hoon pulled her closer, holding her tight. "And I would do it again 1,000 times." But let me take you back to where this love story started. 3 months earlier, Maya stood in the tiny kitchen of a small apartment in a poor part of Seoul. Her hands were red and sore from washing dishes at the restaurant where she worked long hours just to pay the bills. The cold winter wind came through the thin walls, making her shake. She heard the front door slam shut, and her stomach twisted with fear. "Maya." Her husband's voice cut through the apartment like a sharp knife. "Where is my dinner?" Derek walked into the kitchen, smelling like alcohol. He was wearing his expensive suit, the same one Maya had saved 3 months of tip money to buy him for his job interview. The same job where he now spent more time talking to his Korean secretary than working. "I just got home from work," Maya said quietly, not looking up. "I'll start cooking now." Derek laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Look at you, standing there in those old clothes, looking sad. You know what my co-workers." Derek laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Look at you, standing there in those old clothes, looking sad. You know what my co-workers say about you? They ask me why I keep a woman who can't even dress properly. A woman who works washing dishes like some kind of servant." Maya's hands trembled as she opened the refrigerator. The shelves were almost empty. She had bought groceries 3 days ago, but Derek had eaten most of the food during his late-night gaming sessions. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I can make rice and eggs." "Rice and eggs?" Derek's voice got louder. "My secretary brings me real Korean food to the office, expensive food, food that shows she cares about impressing people who matter." Maya felt the familiar pain in her chest. Every day, Derek compared her to other women, his secretary, women at his office, women on television, always telling Maya how she failed to measure up. "Maybe tomorrow I can buy some meat," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I got tips today." Derek moved closer. The smell of alcohol was stronger now. "Tips? You mean those coins people throw at you because they feel sorry for the poor black girl washing their dirty plates?" The words hit Maya like a slap. She had heard them before, but they still hurt. Derek knew exactly how to make her feel small. "I work hard," Maya said quietly. "Hard?" Derek grabbed her shoulder, spinning her around to face him. "You call standing in hot water for 12 hours hard work? You think that makes you special? You're nothing, Maya. You're a poor orphan with no education, no family, no future. I'm the only person in this world who cares enough to keep you around." Maya looked down at the floor. The kitchen tiles were cracked and yellow, just like everything else in their tiny apartment. Derek had promised they would move somewhere better when his job got better. That was 2 years ago. "Look at me when I'm talking to you," Derek demanded. Maya lifted her eyes. Derek's face was red from drinking. His tie was loose, his hair messy, but his eyes were sharp and mean. "Say it," he ordered. "Say what you are." Maya's throat felt tight. This was part of Derek's routine, making her repeat the words that hurt most. "I'm nothing," she whispered, louder. "I'm nothing." Derek smiled, satisfied. "That's right. And don't forget it. Now, make me something to eat. I have to go back to work tonight. Important meeting with important people. People who actually matter in this world." Maya turned back to the refrigerator. She cracked 3 eggs into a bowl, her hands shaking. Outside, Seoul's neon lights painted the walls in bright colors, but inside their apartment, everything felt gray and hopeless. 20 minutes later, Derek was eating at the small table while scrolling through his phone. Maya stood by the sink, washing the pan she had used. She wasn't allowed to eat until Derek finished. "My secretary sent me pictures from her weekend," Derek said, showing Maya his phone screen. "Look at this restaurant. Look at how she dresses. This is what a real woman looks like." Maya glanced at the photo. The woman was beautiful, wearing an expensive dress, sitting in a restaurant Maya could never afford. "She understands how to take care of herself," Derek continued. "How to make herself valuable to a man. You could learn something from her." The sound of a car engine outside caught Maya's attention. It was different from the usual traffic noise, deeper, more expensive sounding. Through their thin walls, she could hear it idling in the street below. Derek didn't notice. He was still looking at his phone, making comments about his secretary's clothes and makeup. Maya finished washing the dishes and dried her hands on an old towel. The car engine was still running. Who would park outside their building this late? Their neighborhood wasn't the kind of place where expensive cars usually stopped. "I'm going to shower," Derek announced, standing up. "Clean this place up. It smells like that restaurant grease you bring home on your clothes." After Derek disappeared into the bathroom, Maya heard the water start running. She walked to the window and carefully pushed the curtain aside. A black sedan was parked across the street, the kind of car she had only seen in movies or driving through the wealthy parts of Seoul. Even in the dim streetlight, she could see how shiny and new it looked. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat, but the windows were tinted too dark to see who it was. Maya let the curtain fall back into place. Probably someone visiting the family upstairs. They sometimes had visitors with nice cars. She was just being paranoid. But as she cleaned the kitchen table, the car engine kept running. Usually, visitors turned off their cars when they went inside buildings. 15 minutes passed. The engine was still running. Maya couldn't concentrate on cleaning. Something about the car felt wrong, like it was waiting for something, or someone. She went back to the window. The car hadn't moved. The person inside hadn't gotten out. Maya's heart started beating faster. In the orphanage, she had learned to trust her instincts about danger. Sister Catherine had taught all the children to pay attention when something felt wrong. Derek was still in the shower, singing some song she didn't recognize. The bathroom door was closed. Maya made a decision. She put on her worn jacket and quietly opened the apartment door. The hallway was empty and dark. Their building didn't have money for good lighting. She walked down 3 flights of stairs, her footsteps echoing in the stairwell. At the front door, she stopped and looked through the small window. The black car was still there, still running. Maya's hands were sweating now. She should go back upstairs, mind her own business. Derek would be angry if he found out she had left the apartment without permission. But something made her push open the front door. The night air was cold against her face. Seoul in winter was always harsh, but tonight felt different. The street was quiet except for the sound of the idling engine. Maya stepped onto the sidewalk. The car was maybe 50 feet away, but she could see it clearly under the streetlight. As soon as she appeared, the car door opened. A man stepped out. Even in the dim light, Maya could see he was tall and well-dressed. His coat looked expensive, perfectly fitted to his broad shoulders. His hair was styled in a way that suggested money and care, but it was the way he moved that made Maya's breath catch in her throat. Confident, but careful, like someone who was used to being in control, but also used to being cautious. The man looked directly at her across the street. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then he started walking toward her. Maya's first instinct was to run. Strange men in expensive cars didn't approach women like her for good reasons, especially not at night in her neighborhood. But something about his walk seemed familiar. The way he kept his hands visible, moved slowly, like he didn't want to scare her. "Maya?" the man called out when he was halfway across the street. Maya's heart stopped. He knew her name. She took a step backward, toward the building entrance. "Who are you?" The man stopped walking. He was close enough now that she could see his face in the streetlight. Korean features, but something about his expression reminded her of someone. "My name is Kong Jun," he said. His English was perfect, with just a slight accent. "But you used to call me Jean." Maya felt like the world had tilted sideways. Jean, the Korean boy from St. Mary's Children's Home in Chicago. The boy who had shared his lunch with her when the older kids took hers. The boy who had taught her how to tie her shoes properly when she was 7 years old. "Jean?" she whispered. The man smiled, and suddenly Maya could see the child's face in his adult features. The same kind eyes. The same gentle smile that had made her feel safe during the worst days of her childhood. "I've been looking for you for a very long time," Jun said. Maya's legs gave out beneath her. She sank onto the park bench, staring at this man who claimed to be Jian, the boy who had shared stale cookies with her, who had held her hand during thunderstorms, who had promised they would find each other again someday. "You're not Jean," she said, shaking her head. "Jean was just a kid. He didn't have bodyguards and expensive cars." Jun sat down beside her, careful to keep some distance. "Do you remember the scar on your shoulder? How you got it?" Maya's hand instinctively moved to her left shoulder. Under her shirt was a thin white line, barely visible now, but still there after 21 years. "The bigger boys were going to beat me up because I wouldn't give them my dessert," Jun continued quietly. "You stepped in front of me, took the hits yourself." One of them had a sharp piece of metal. Maya felt her world tilting. Only Jean could know that story. "But how are you, all this?" She gestured toward the car, the men in suits. "Life took me in directions I never expected." Jun's voice carried weight, pain. "But I never forgot you, Maya. I never forgot what you did for me. I don't understand. Why were you looking for me?" Jun reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Old, yellowed with age. "My grandmother made me promise something before she died. She said when I found you, I had to give you this." Maya took the envelope with trembling hands. Her name was written on it in elegant handwriting she didn't recognize. Inside was a photograph of a beautiful black woman in an elaborate gold dress and a letter written on expensive paper. The woman in the photo looked exactly like Maya. "My darling daughter," the letter began, "if you are reading this, then Jean has kept his promise and found you. My name is Adora Akono, and I am your mother." Maya's vision blurred. The words swam on the page, but Jun's voice filled in what her eyes couldn't focus on. Your mother was Nigerian royalty, a princess. She fell in love with your father, an American businessman, but her family didn't approve. When you were born, threats started coming. Death threats against you both. Maya looked up from the letter. Death threats? Your mother's brother, Chukwamika, wanted to control the family fortune. Your existence complicated his plans, so your mother made the hardest choice of her life. She brought you to America and placed you in St. Mary's to keep you safe. Safe from what? June's jaw tightened. From being murdered. The park around them seemed to fade away. Maya could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. The car accident that killed your mother when you were 2, June continued. It wasn't an accident. Chukwamika had her killed, then told everyone you had died too. For 28 years, he's been stealing from your inheritance. Maya stood up abruptly, the letter falling to the ground. This is insane. You're telling me I'm some kind of princess? That I have family? That my mother was murdered? Maya, in 2 weeks you turn 30. According to Nigerian law and your mother's will, the entire Akono fortune becomes yours on your 30th birthday. $20 billion. The number hit her like a physical blow. 20 billion? Your uncle has been embezzling for decades, but the core inheritance is protected by international law. It can only be released to you. Maya started pacing, her mind racing. This is crazy. I'm a dishwasher. I live in a tiny apartment with my husband who barely tolerates me. I don't have any money. I don't have any family. You have family. You have me. Jun stood up, his voice gentle but firm. I know this is overwhelming, but it's true. Every word. How do you know all this? How did you even find me? My grandmother worked for your mother before the family came to America. She was there when the threats started. Your mother trusted her with information about where you were hidden. She made me promise to find you when I got older and tell you the truth. Maya picked up the letter again, scanning the handwriting. Why didn't she tell me sooner? Why wait until now? Because Chukwamika has been looking for you too. If he'd found you before your 30th birthday, before the inheritance became legally yours. Jun didn't finish the sentence, but his meaning was clear. He would have killed me. Yes. Maya felt sick. She sat back down heavily, trying to process everything. I need to go home. I need to think about this. Maya, you can't tell Derek about this. Not yet. Why not? He's my husband. June's expression darkened. Because men like Derek don't handle this kind of news well. $20 billion changes everything. It makes people do terrible things. Derek wouldn't hurt me. The look in June's eyes said otherwise, but he just nodded. Be careful. Please. An hour later, Maya sat at her tiny kitchen table, staring at the letter and photograph. Derek was in the shower, singing off-key like he did when he was in a good mood. She could hear him through the thin walls of their apartment. When he came out, hair still damp, he noticed her sitting there. What's that? He asked, reaching for the photo. Maya pulled it away. Just some old pictures I found. Let me see. His tone shifted, becoming more demanding. It's nothing important. Derek grabbed her wrist. I said, let me see. Maya's heart started racing. She'd seen this look before. The one that came before the yelling, before the cruel words that left bruises on her soul, even if they didn't mark her body. Fine. She handed him the photo. Derek studied it, then looked at her. Who is this woman? I think she might be my mother. Your mother? Derek laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. Maya, your mother was probably some crack addict who dumped you at an orphanage. This woman looks like royalty or something. The man I met today, Jean, he gave me this letter. He says my mother was Nigerian royalty, that I'm supposed to inherit money on my 30th birthday. Derek went very still. How much money? Maya hesitated. Some instinct warned her not to say the full amount. A lot. How much is a lot? I don't know exactly. The letter is kind of vague. Derek snatched the letter from her hands and read it quickly. His face went through several expressions: confusion, disbelief, then something that made Maya's stomach clench with fear. Greed. $20 billion? He whispered. Derek, it might not even be real. This could all be some kind of scam. But Derek wasn't listening. He was pacing now, running his hands through his hair. $20 billion. Do you have any idea what we could do with that money? We? Derek stopped pacing and looked at her. Of course we. We're married, Maya. What's yours is mine. Something cold settled in Maya's chest. I don't even know if it's real yet. Oh, it's real. Men don't drive cars like that Korean guy had unless they're dealing with real money. Derek's eyes were bright with excitement. We need to figure out how to claim this inheritance. We need lawyers. Good ones. Maybe we should wait. Learn more about it first. Wait, Derek's voice rose. Maya, we're talking about billions of dollars. We're not waiting for anything. He grabbed her shoulders, his grip tight enough to hurt. You're going to call this Gene guy tomorrow. You're going to tell him you want to claim your inheritance immediately. Derek, you're hurting me. This is our chance, Maya. Our chance to get out of this dump, to live like we deserve to live. You're not going to screw this up by being scared. I'm not scared. I just think we should be careful. Derek's grip tightened. Careful? You've been washing dishes for 3 years while I've supported us. The least you can do is not mess up the one good thing that's ever happened to us. Maya tried to pull away, but Derek held on. Let go of me. You need to understand something, Maya. I've put up with a lot from you. Your moods, your neediness, your complete inability to contribute anything meaningful to our marriage. But this inheritance changes everything. Changes everything how? It makes you valuable for the first time in your life. The words hit Maya like a slap. She'd heard Derek say cruel things before, but this felt different, more calculated, more final. I want you to call him right now, Derek continued. Set up a meeting for tomorrow. I don't have his number. Then we'll go back to where you met him. A loud knock at the door interrupted them. Derek frowned and went to look through the peephole. It's some Asian guy in a suit, he called back to Maya. Maya's heart jumped. Don't answer it. Why not? Before Maya could answer, Derek had already opened the door. Jun stood in the hallway, no longer alone. 2 large men in dark suits flanked him. Good evening, Jun said politely. I'm looking for Maya. Derek straightened, trying to look intimidating despite being several inches shorter than Jun. She's busy. I can see her from here. Jun looked past Derek to where Maya stood in the kitchen. Maya, are you all right? She's fine, Derek answered before Maya could speak. What do you want? I wanted to make sure Maya got home safely, and to give her my contact information in case she has questions about what we discussed. Derek stepped into the doorway, blocking Jun's view. Listen, buddy, I don't know what kind of game you're running, but Maya told me about your little story. The princess thing, the inheritance. If you think you can con us, con you. Jun's voice remained calm, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Yeah, the whole Nigerian royalty bullshit. Maya might be naive enough to fall for it, but I'm not. Jun smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. Mr. Johnson, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not trying to con anyone. I'm trying to help Maya claim what's rightfully hers. Right. And what's in it for you? The satisfaction of keeping a promise I made to a dying woman 20 years ago. Derek laughed. Nobody does anything for free. What's your angle? One of Jun's bodyguards stepped forward slightly. Derek seemed to notice for the first time that these men weren't just well-dressed. They were armed. My angle, Jun said quietly, is making sure Maya is safe and gets what belongs to her. Nothing more. Well, she's safe here with her husband, so you can leave now. Maya, Jun called past Derek. Do you feel safe? Derek whirled around to look at her. Tell him you're safe. Maya looked between the two men. Derek's face was flushed with anger, his hands clenched into fists. Jun waited patiently, his dark eyes filled with concern. I'm fine, she said finally. Jun nodded slowly. All right. But Maya, if you need anything at all, you call me. He handed Derek a business card. Day or night. After Jun left, Derek slammed the door and turned on Maya. What the hell was that about? What do you mean? Do you feel safe? What kind of question is that to ask a married woman in front of her husband? I don't know. Maybe he was just being polite. Polite, my ass. That guy wants something from you, and I'm going to find out what it is. Derek grabbed his laptop and started typing furiously. Kong Jun, he muttered, reading from the business card. Let's see what Mr. Kong is really about. After a few minutes of searching, Derek's face went pale. Jesus Christ, Maya. Do you know who this guy is? He said his name was Gene when we were kids. He's Korean Mafia, head of some organization called the Kong Group. There are articles here about money laundering, racketeering, suspected murder. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. Murder? The guy you've been talking to is a goddamn crime boss, Maya. And now he knows about your inheritance. Derek slammed the laptop shut. We need to get out of here. Pack a bag. We're leaving tonight. Leaving? Where would we go? I don't care. A hotel, my friend's place, anywhere but here. If this guy is some kind of gangster, then you being worth $20 billion makes you a target. Maya started to protest, but Derek was already pulling suitcases out of the closet. Move, Maya. We don't have time to debate this. As she mechanically began throwing clothes into a bag, Maya's mind raced. Jun had seemed so gentle, so familiar. Could Derek be right? Was the boy she remembered really capable of murder? But then she remembered the way Jun had looked at her. The sadness in his eyes when he talked about searching for her. The careful distance he'd maintained, never trying to touch her or make her uncomfortable. She remembered Derek's hands on her shoulders 20 minutes ago. How tight he'd held her. How his eyes had lit up when he heard about the money. Maya zipped up her suitcase and wondered which man she should really be afraid of. Maya opened the penthouse door to find two men in black suits waiting in the hallway. They stood perfectly still, hands folded in front of them, like statues made of muscle and expensive fabric. Miss Johnson, the taller one said with a slight bow. Mr. Kong sent us to collect you. Her heart hammered against her ribs. After everything Derek had said about Jun being dangerous, seeing these bodyguards made it real. But then she looked at their faces. Professional, yes. Intimidating, absolutely. But not cruel. Not like Derek's face when he was angry. I have my bag, she said quietly. The ride through Seoul's neon-bright streets passed in silence. Maya pressed her face to the window, watching ordinary people walk home from work or dinner with friends. Just yesterday, she had been one of them. a nobody with calloused hands and an empty bank account. Now she sat in the back of a Mercedes with two armed men, heading toward a life she couldn't begin to imagine. The car pulled up to a gleaming tower in Gangnam district. The lobby alone was bigger than the apartment she'd shared with Derek. Marble floors stretched toward floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the Han River. Fresh flowers stood in arrangements taller than she was. Jun waited by the elevators. He'd changed from his earlier dark suit into jeans and a simple white shirt, but he still looked like he owned everything around him. Which, Maya realized, he probably did. "How are you feeling?" he asked as they rode up to the 40th floor. "Like I'm in someone else's life." He nodded, understanding in his eyes. "That feeling will pass, or maybe you'll get used to it." The elevator opened directly into his apartment. Maya stepped out and nearly gasped. The space was enormous, all clean lines and expensive furniture. But what caught her attention were the windows. The entire wall was glass, showing Seoul spread out below like a sea of lights. "This is yours?" she asked. "One of my places. I thought you might want somewhere private while you process everything." Jun led her down a hallway, lined with original paintings. "Your room is here, private bathroom, walk-in closet. The kitchen is fully stocked, or I can have food brought up from any restaurant in the city." He opened a door to reveal a bedroom that was bigger than Derek's entire apartment. The bed was king-sized with white linens that looked soft as clouds. French doors led to a private balcony. "Jun, this is too much. I can't—" "You can," he said firmly. "Maya, in 2 weeks you'll have access to more money than most countries' annual budgets. A nice bedroom is not too much." She set her suitcase on the bench at the foot of the bed. Her one bag looked ridiculous in the massive space, like a child's toy in a mansion. "I need you to understand something," Jun continued. "You're safe here. Completely safe. No one gets to this floor without my permission. No one touches you without your permission. This isn't a cage. It's protection." Maya turned to face him. "What do you want from me?" The question hung between them. Jun was quiet for a long moment, studying her face. "I want to keep a promise I made to my grandmother," he said finally. "She saved my life when I was 8 years old, Maya, in ways you don't remember. And she made me swear that if I ever found you again, I would make sure you were safe and happy." "That's all?" Something flickered across his expression. Pain, maybe, or longing. "That's all," he said. But the way he looked at her suggested it wasn't all. Not even close. Maya spent the next 3 days learning how to live like a different person. Jun arranged for lawyers to meet with her, explaining trusts and inheritance laws in language she could understand. A financial advisor showed her spreadsheets full of numbers that made her dizzy. Property managers called to discuss mansions and penthouses in cities she'd never seen. Through it all, Jun stayed close but never crowded her. He answered her questions patiently. He made sure she ate regular meals. When she had panic attacks about the overwhelming information, he sat with her until her breathing returned to normal. On the 4th morning, Maya found him in his office at 6 a.m., talking quietly into his phone in Korean. When he saw her, he ended the call immediately. "Sorry," she said. "I couldn't sleep." "Neither could I." He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Coffee?" She nodded, settling into the leather chair. Through the office windows, Seoul was waking up. Early commuters filled the streets below. "Jun," she said carefully, "tell me about the orphanage. Tell me what I don't remember." His hand stilled on his coffee cup. "Why?" "Because everyone keeps saying I saved you somehow. But I don't remember saving anyone. I was just a scared little girl who cried every night." Jun was quiet for so long that Maya thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. "You were 8. I was 8. There was this older boy, Marcus. He was 13 and angry all the time because nobody wanted to adopt him." Maya felt a chill of recognition. She did remember Marcus, his cold eyes and quick fists. "Marcus decided I was an easy target," Jun continued. "Korean kid, smaller than everyone else, spoke English with an accent. He cornered me in the bathroom one day, started hitting me, said I should go back where I came from." Jun's jaw tightened at the memory. "You walked in while it was happening. Marcus was twice your size, but you didn't hesitate. You jumped on his back, started scratching and hitting him, yelling for him to stop." Maya touched her shoulder unconsciously. The scar there, small and thin. She'd always been told it was from falling off a playground. "He threw you against the sink," Jun said, watching her hand move to the scar. "Cut you open pretty bad, but you bought me enough time to get away and find the staff." "I don't remember any of that." "You were unconscious. Concussion. You spent 3 days in the hospital." Maya stared at him. "You visited me. Every day. Brought you drawings. Terrible drawings, but you kept them anyway." A flash of memory surfaced. A serious little boy with dark hair sitting beside her hospital bed. Shy smile. Careful English. "John," she whispered. "You remembered my name when no one else bothered to learn it." Something warm spread through Maya's chest. Not just the memory, but the way Jun was looking at her. Like she was precious. Like she mattered. "Is that why you really searched for me?" she asked. "Because of something that happened when we were kids?" Jun leaned forward in his chair. "Maya, you took a beating meant for me. You got hurt protecting someone you barely knew. What kind of person does that? A stupid one? A good one? A rare one?" The warmth in her chest grew stronger. When was the last time someone had called her good? When was the last time someone had looked at her like she was worth protecting instead of worth discarding? "John!" Her phone buzzed. Text message. Maya glanced at the screen and froze. The number was international. Nigerian country code. The message was short. "I know where you are, little princess. Sleep well." Maya's hands started shaking. The phone clattered to the floor. Jun was around the desk in seconds, reading the message over her shoulder. His expression went cold as winter. "Pack your things," he said, already moving toward his phone. "Now." "What? Why?" "Your uncle found you." Jun's voice was deadly calm as he dialed. "And if he's making threats, it means he's already here." Maya heard him speaking rapid Korean into the phone. Even though she couldn't understand the words, the tone was unmistakable. Orders. Dangerous ones. Within minutes, the apartment filled with men in suits. They moved through the space like a military operation, checking windows and exits, setting up equipment Maya didn't recognize. Jun appeared at her side, a bulletproof vest in his hands. "Put this on," he said. "Jun, you're scaring me." "Good. You should be scared. Your uncle has killed people, Maya, starting with your mother." She let him help her into the vest, her hands too unsteady to manage the straps. "What happens now?" Jun's eyes met hers, and she saw something there that made her breath catch. Not just protectiveness. Something deeper. Something that looked like love. "Now we make sure he never threatens you again." Christmas Eve arrived with an ominous weight hanging over Seoul. Maya woke in Jun's arms, the morning light filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse bedroom. She had barely slept, her mind racing with thoughts of what her uncle might do. Jun was already awake, his fingers tracing gentle patterns on her shoulder. "The team has been watching the airports since yesterday," he said quietly. "Chukwamika landed at Incheon 2 hours ago. He brought 12 men with him." Maya's stomach clenched. 12? "My sources say they're mercenaries, ex-military from various African conflicts." Jun's voice remained calm, but she could feel the tension in his muscles. "He's not playing games." An hour later, Maya stood in the Kong headquarters lobby, her hands trembling despite Jun's reassuring presence beside her. The space was massive, all marble floors and soaring ceilings, with the Kong family emblem carved into the wall behind the reception desk. She had never seen it filled with armed men before. Jun's soldiers positioned themselves throughout the lobby, their weapons visible, but not drawn. These weren't street thugs. They moved with military precision, their faces stone masks of professional readiness. Maya counted at least 30 of them. "Maya." Jun's voice was soft, but it carried absolute authority. "Stay behind me. No matter what he says, no matter what he threatens, you stay behind me." The massive glass doors opened with a mechanical whisper. Chukwamika Akano entered like he owned the building, his expensive suit immaculate, his graying hair perfectly styled. Behind him came 12 men who looked exactly like what Jun had described. Hardened killers with dead eyes and visible scars. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She was seeing her mother's killer for the first time, and the hatred that rose in her chest was so intense it made her dizzy. Chukwamika's gaze swept the lobby, taking in Jun's men with obvious calculation. When his eyes found Maya, his lips curved into a cold smile. "My dear niece," he said, his Nigerian accent thick with false warmth. "You've grown up beautifully. You look exactly like your mother." "Don't!" Maya's voice came out stronger than she felt. "Don't talk about my mother." "Ah, but she's why I'm here." Chukwamika stepped forward, and immediately several of Jun's men shifted, hands moving toward their weapons. He stopped, raising his hands in mock surrender. "I come in peace. I simply want what belongs to my family." Jun moved slightly in front of Maya, his presence like a wall between her and her uncle. "Mr. Akano, you're not welcome here. And you are Kong Jun." Chukwamika's smile never wavered. "I've heard impressive things about your organization. Very impressive. But this is family business." "Maya is my family now," Jun replied, his voice deadly quiet. Chukwamika laughed, the sound echoing off the marble walls. "Is that what she told you? That we abandoned her? That poor little Maya was all alone in the world?" He shook his head. "My brother's American whore filled her head with poison before she died. Maya was always meant to come home to Nigeria. The orphanage was temporary." "Temporary?" Maya stepped out from behind Jun, rage overriding her fear. 28 years temporary? "Your mother's death was unexpected," Chukwamika said, his tone becoming colder. "I've been managing the family fortune, waiting for you to mature enough to handle such responsibility." "Managing?" Jun's laugh was harsh. "Is that what you call embezzling 2/3 of the estate?" Chukwamika's facade cracked slightly. "I don't know what lies you've been fed, but—" "Bank records from 14 different accounts," Jun interrupted. He gestured, and one of his men approached with a tablet. "Property transfers in Lagos, London, and Dubai, all signed with forged documents. Should I continue?" Maya watched her uncle's face change, the false warmth disappearing entirely. This was the man who had killed her mother, who had left her to grow up believing she was worthless. "You killed her," Maya said, her voice breaking. "You killed my mother for money. Your mother was weak, Chukwamika snapped, all pretense gone. She chose that American nobody over her family, over her heritage. She would have given everything away to charity, just like you're planning to do. How do you... Did you think I wouldn't have people watching? You've already contacted lawyers about philanthropic foundations. You want to throw away billions on worthless causes. His voice rose. That money is Okono money. It belongs in Nigeria, with the Okono family. I am the Okono family, Maya said, stepping fully out from behind June's protection. I'm Adora's daughter. I'm the rightful heir. You're a naive child who's been living in poverty because you're too weak to claim what's yours. Chukwamika gestured to his men, who tensed visibly. But I'm willing to make you an offer. Come with me to Nigeria. Learn your responsibilities. Take your place in the family business. Forget this Korean gangster and his criminal empire. And if I refuse? Chukwamika's smile returned, colder than winter. Then you'll end up like your mother. Car accidents happen so easily, even here in Seoul. The lobby exploded into motion. June's men drew their weapons in perfect synchronization, the metallic sounds echoing off the walls. Chukwamika's mercenaries responded, but they were outnumbered 3-1. Wrong answer, June said softly. Red laser dots appeared on every one of Chukwamika's men. Maya looked up and saw snipers on the second-floor balcony, their rifles trained with lethal precision. Chukwamika's confidence wavered for the first time. His eyes darted around the lobby, taking in the overwhelming display of force. You cannot threaten me, he said, but his voice had lost its earlier authority. I have connections. Government officials. Military contacts. Had, Jun corrected. He nodded to another subordinate, who brought forward a thick folder. Nigerian authorities received some interesting documents this morning. Banking records, recorded phone calls, video evidence of you ordering your sister's murder. Maya's knees nearly buckled. Video? Your mother knew her brother was planning something, Jun explained gently. She had security cameras installed in her car. The footage survived the crash. Chukwamika's face had gone gray. That's impossible. You destroyed the local copies, June said. But Adora was clever. She had everything backed up to servers in 3 different countries. My people have been gathering evidence for months. You have no proof of anything, Chukwamika blustered, but sweat was beading on his forehead. June's man opened the folder and began reading. December 15th, 2003. Phone call to Marcus Okafor. Duration 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Quote, the accident needs to look convincing. Make sure there are no survivors. Maya felt sick. Her mother's death had been planned in detail, discussed casually like a business transaction. Maya was supposed to die that night, too, Jun continued, his voice like ice. But Adora left her at the orphanage that morning. She knew you were coming for both of them. Lies, Chukwamika said, but his voice cracked. December 22nd, 2003, the subordinate continued reading. Transfer of $50 million from Okono Industries to Cayman account 4471B. Authorization signature forged. Maya stepped forward, her fear replaced by cold fury. You killed my mother. You stole my inheritance. You left me to grow up thinking I was nobody. You are nobody, Chukwamika snarled, his composure finally breaking completely. You're the daughter of a whore who betrayed her family. You have no right. The sound of the slap echoed through the lobby. Maya's hand stung, but the satisfaction was worth it. I have every right, she said quietly. I'm Princess Maya Akono, daughter of Princess Adora. And you're a murderer and a thief. Chukwamika touched his reddening cheek, rage blazing in his eyes. You think this is over? You think you can just waltz back into Nigeria and claim what's mine? I have been building the Akono Empire for 20 years. I have loyal people. I have— Nothing, June interrupted. As of this morning, all your accounts are frozen. Your properties are under investigation. Your loyal people are being arrested as we speak. Chukwamika stared at him in disbelief. You can't possibly have that kind of reach. I told you, June said with a slight smile. I've been planning this for months. Maya's birthday is in 2 weeks. I wanted to make sure there would be no obstacles to her claiming her inheritance. The lobby doors opened again, and this time it was the Seoul Metropolitan Police who entered. At least a dozen officers, led by a stern-faced detective, who looked around the room with professional calm. Mr. Akono, the detective said in accented English, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, embezzlement, fraud, and criminal conspiracy. The government of Nigeria has requested your immediate extradition. Chukwamika's mercenaries lowered their weapons as police surrounded them. There was no escape, no way to fight their way out. This isn't over, Chukwamika said, as handcuffs clicked around his wrists. The Akono family has a long memory. There will be others. The Akono family, Maya said quietly, is me. Just me. And I remember everything. As the police led her uncle away, Chukwamika turned back one final time. You'll regret this, child. You have no idea what you're inheriting. The weight of it will crush you. Maybe, Maya replied, but at least I'll be free to make my own mistakes. The lobby fell silent as the last of the police vehicles disappeared through the glass doors. Maya stood in the sudden quiet, surrounded by June's men, but feeling completely alone with the enormity of what had just happened. Her mother's killer was finally going to face justice. The man who had stolen her childhood, her identity, her family's fortune. He was finished. Maya turned to June, who was watching her with those dark eyes that seemed to see straight into her soul. It's really over? It's over, he confirmed. You're safe. You're free. Maya felt tears building behind her eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. For the first time in her life, she felt complete. Not just because of the inheritance, not just because of the justice for her mother, but because of the man standing beside her who had made it all possible. Thank you, she whispered. Jun reached for her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. You don't need to thank me. You would have done the same for me. Maya thought about the little Korean boy she had protected at the orphanage, how she had taken a beating meant for him without hesitation. Maybe Jun was right. Maybe some debts were worth a lifetime to repay. What happens now? She asked. Jun's eyes met hers, and she saw her future reflected there. Not just safety, not just love, but partnership. A life built together, free from the shadows of the past. Now, he said softly, we start living. The morning light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows felt different, warmer. Maya stretched beneath the silk sheets. Her body finally relaxed after months of constant tension. For the first time in her adult life, she had slept through the night without fear. Jun was already awake, propped up on his elbow, watching her with those dark eyes that had seen too much violence, but looked at her with such tenderness. His black hair fell across his forehead, and she resisted the urge to brush it back. Good morning, she whispered, suddenly shy. Everything had changed overnight. Her uncle was gone. The threats were over. She was safe. But more than that, she was free to choose her own life. How do you feel? Jun asked, his voice careful. She could see the question behind the question. Now that the danger had passed, would she stay? Maya sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. Through the windows, Seoul stretched out below them, a city that had been her prison becoming something else entirely. Rich, she said finally, and they both laughed. But the laughter faded as the reality settled between them. $20 billion. A fortune that could buy countries, influence governments, change the world. She had gone to sleep as Maya Johnson, a dishwasher who counted pennies. She had woken up as Maya Akono, one of the wealthiest women on earth. It doesn't feel real, she admitted. Yesterday I was worried about having enough money for bus fare. Today I could buy the bus company. Jun reached for her hand, his thumb tracing the calluses from years of washing dishes. The money doesn't change who you are. Doesn't it? Maya pulled her knees to her chest. I keep thinking about all those years. Living with Derek, letting him tell me I was nothing. Working until my hands bled because I thought that was all I deserved. And the whole time. She shook her head. My mother left me enough money to help thousands of people, and I was scraping for survival. Your mother was protecting you, Jun said firmly. If your uncle had known where you were, you would never have lived to see this day. Maya knew he was right, but the weight of missed opportunities pressed down on her. How many kids are sleeping in orphanages right now, thinking nobody wants them? How many women are trapped like I was, believing they have no choices? Jun was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about St. Mary's, Maya said. About the night you found me crying, because I thought I'd never have a real family. You told me that someday I'd have so much love, I wouldn't know what to do with it all. I remember. You were right. But it's not just about having love. It's about what you do with it. Maya turned to face him fully. I want to use the money to help children, build better orphanages, fund education programs, make sure no kid grows up thinking they're worthless. Jun's smile was radiant. That sounds perfect. But that's not all. Maya's voice dropped. Jun, I need to know something. Now that the danger is over, now that you've kept your promise to your grandmother, what happens to us? The question hung in the air. Jun sat up, his expression serious. What do you want to happen? I asked you first. Jun ran his hands through his hair. A gesture she had learned meant he was choosing his words carefully. Maya, these past months with you have been the happiest of my life. But I won't trap you. You've spent too many years being told what to do, where to go, who to be. If you want to leave Seoul, start fresh somewhere else. I'll help you. If you want to travel the world, discover who Maya Akono really is, I'll make sure you're protected. If you never want to see me again, because I remind you of all this pain, stop. Maya placed her fingers over his lips. Do you think I could ever not want to see you? I think you deserve the chance to find out, Jun said against her fingertips. You're free now, Maya. Truly free. I won't let my feelings become another cage for you. The selflessness in his voice broke her heart. Here was a man who commanded respect through fear, who could take whatever he wanted, offering to give up the thing he wanted most. You really don't understand, do you? Maya moved closer to him. Jun, for 28 years, I thought love meant accepting whatever scraps someone was willing to give me. Derek convinced me I should be grateful he stayed, even when he hurt me. He made me believe love was something I had to earn by making myself smaller. Jun's jaw tightened at the mention of her ex-husband, but he stayed quiet. But you, Maya continued, you showed me something completely different. You protected me without asking for anything in return. You listened when I spoke. You made me feel safe. You made me believe I was worth protecting. Her voice caught. That's not just love, Jun. That's the kind of love stories are written about. Maya. I'm not going anywhere, she said firmly. Not to travel, not to start fresh, not to find myself. I know who I am. I'm Maya Akono, and I'm completely, ridiculously in love with Jean Kong. Jun's careful control cracked. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. Are you sure? Really sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Maya pulled back to look at him. But I have conditions. Jun raised an eyebrow. Conditions? I want to be your partner, not your princess. I want to work alongside you, not be protected by you. And I want to use my money to do good in the world, even if that means funding things that seem too idealistic. Done, Jun said without hesitation. Anything else? Maya grinned. I want to learn to use chopsticks properly. Derek always said I was too clumsy, but I think he just wanted me to feel helpless. Jun threw back his head and laughed, the sound rich and full of joy. I'll teach you everything. Chopsticks, Korean, how to navigate Seoul society, how to run a business empire, whatever you want to learn. And I want to know everything about the Kong organization, Maya added. If we're partners, I need to understand all of you, even the dangerous parts. Jun's expression grew serious. Maya, some of what I do. I'm not naive, Jun. I know you're not running a charity, but I also know you're a good man. Whatever choices you've made, you made them to survive, to protect the people you care about. I won't judge you for that. You might change your mind when you know the details. I won't. Maya's voice was steady. You saved me. You gave me back my life, my identity, my future. There's nothing you could tell me that would change how I feel about you. Jun studied her face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, partners. They shook hands solemnly, then burst into laughter at the formality of it. Maya threw her arms around his neck, and Jun spun her around the room, both of them giddy with possibility. When he set her down, Maya's expression grew thoughtful. Jun, can I ask you something? Why did you really spend all those years looking for me? Your grandmother's promise was part of it, but... Jun's cheeks reddened slightly. You want the truth? Always. I was 8 years old when you stepped between me and those older boys at St. Mary's. You took a beating meant for me, and afterward, when the nurse was cleaning your cuts, you told me not to cry because heroes protect each other. Jun's voice was soft with memory. I decided that day that I was going to find a way to protect you back. Maybe it took me 21 years, but I kept my promise. You fell in love with an 8-year-old girl? I fell in love with the bravest person I'd ever met, Jun corrected. The fact that she grew up to be beautiful was just a bonus. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. I can't believe you remembered that. I remembered everything about you. Your laugh, the way you shared your dessert even when you were hungry, how you made up stories to help the younger kids sleep. You were the light in that dark place. And now? Jun cupped her face in his hands. Now you're the light in my entire world. They kissed then, soft and sweet and full of promises. When they broke apart, Maya rested her forehead against his. So, what's the first item of business for the new partners? She asked. Breakfast, Jun said practically. You need to eat actual food now that you don't have to survive on ramen. Maya laughed. And after breakfast? After breakfast, we changed the world. 1 year later, Maya stood before the floor-to-ceiling mirror in the bridal suite, barely recognizing the woman staring back at her. The ivory silk dress hugged her figure perfectly, custom-made by one of Seoul's finest designers. Diamond earrings caught the morning light streaming through the windows of the Kong estate. "You look beautiful," whispered Sarah, one of the children from St. Mary's home who had flown in for the wedding. Now 18, Sarah worked as Maya's personal assistant for the foundation. "Mrs. Kong sounds perfect on you." Maya touched the girl's hand. "I'm still just Maya to you." "Maya Kong," Sarah corrected with a grin. "The woman who saved my life." Through the window, Maya could see the estate's ballroom being transformed into a fairy tale. White roses and cherry blossoms decorated every surface. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing light across marble floors. Hundreds of guests were already arriving. Business associates, June's family, and dozens of children from the orphanages Maya had funded across 3 countries. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Jun's voice came through the door. "Can I come in for just a moment?" "You're not supposed to see me," Maya called back, but she was already moving toward the door. "Close your eyes," Jun said as he entered. Maya obeyed, feeling him place something cool around her neck. When she opened her eyes, a stunning sapphire necklace rested against her collarbone. "It was my grandmother's," Jun said softly. "She always said it should go to the woman who completed our family." Maya's fingers traced the stones. "Jun, she would have loved you," he continued. "The way you loved those children, the way you never gave up hope even when everything was dark. You have the strongest heart I've ever known." "I love you," Maya whispered, turning to face him. Even in his simple shirt and pants, Jun took her breath away. In a few hours, he would be her husband. "Save some words for the vows," Jun teased, kissing her forehead gently. "I'll see you at the altar." As afternoon sunlight filtered through the ballroom's crystal windows, Maya walked slowly down the aisle. Every step felt like floating. Children from the Seoul Children's Home scattered rose petals before her feet. Business executives and mafia lieutenants sat beside social workers and teachers. 2 worlds brought together by love. Jun waited at the altar in a perfectly tailored black tuxedo, his usually serious face soft with emotion. When their eyes met, everything else disappeared. "We gather today," the officiant began, "to celebrate a love that began in childhood and grew stronger through every challenge." Maya barely heard the words. She was remembering a scared little girl protecting a lonely boy from bullies, a young man searching for years to keep a promise, 2 damaged souls finding completeness in each other. "Maya," Jun said when it came time for vows, his voice steady, but his hands trembling slightly. 21 years ago, you showed me what courage looked like. You took hits meant for me, and you never asked for anything in return. You taught me that real strength isn't about power or control. It's about protecting the people you love." He paused, swallowing hard. "I searched for you because I owed you a debt. But I found something more valuable than I ever imagined. I found my other half. I promise to protect you, support your dreams, and love you exactly as you are for the rest of my life." Maya's voice shook as she began her own vows. "Jun, you saved me from a life where I believed I was worthless. You showed me that love isn't supposed to hurt. It's supposed to heal, to lift up, to make you stronger." Tears ran freely down her cheeks. "You gave me back my name, my history, my future. But most importantly, you gave me yourself. I promise to stand beside you, to build something beautiful together, and to never stop being grateful for the miracle of finding you again. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Jun's kiss was gentle, reverent. The ballroom erupted in cheers and applause that seemed to shake the very foundations of the estate. During the reception, Maya noticed a familiar figure lurking near the back entrance. Derek, wearing a wrinkled suit that had seen better days, watched the celebration with hollow eyes. His hair was thinning, his face gaunt. The embezzlement charges Jun had exposed had cost him everything: his job, his apartment, his Korean girlfriend who disappeared the moment his money was gone. Maya excused herself from the head table and walked over to him. Jun tensed, ready to intervene, but she shook her head slightly. "Derek," she said calmly. "Maya," his voice was barely audible. You look happy." "I am." He stared at the opulent ballroom, at the hundreds of guests celebrating her new life. "I never knew. About your family, the money. If I had known." "You would have treated me differently because of money," Maya finished. "But you couldn't treat me well just because I was your wife." Derek flinched. "I'm sorry. For everything. I was angry all the time, and I took it out on you." "I know," Maya said simply. "I hope you find help, Derek. Real help." She turned to walk away, then paused. "There's food being served in the kitchen. Take some home if you want." As she rejoined the reception, Maya felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Forgiveness wasn't about Derek deserving it. It was about freeing herself from the last chains of her old life. The evening's highlight came when Jun led Maya to the center of the dance floor. The string quartet began playing their song. "At Last," by Etta James, the same song that had been playing on the radio the night Jun found her again. "Mrs. Kong," Jun murmured as they swayed together. "How does it feel?" "Like coming home," Maya whispered back. Like everything that happened before was just preparation for this moment. Around them, couples joined the dance. Sarah danced with one of Jun's younger cousins. Business associates who had started as enemies shared the floor peacefully. Children from the orphanages giggled as they attempted formal dance steps. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't found each other again?" Maya asked. Jun's arms tightened around her. "Every day. But then I remember what you told me once. Some things are meant to be. Some people are worth waiting a lifetime for." "Did I really say that?" "You said it on Christmas morning, right before you told me you loved me." Maya laughed, the sound bright and free. "I was very wise for someone who had just inherited $20 billion. "You were wise long before the money," Jun said seriously. "Money doesn't create character, Maya. It just reveals what was already there." As the song ended, they remained in each other's arms, unwilling to break the spell of perfect contentment. "Jun?" "Yes?" "Thank you for finding me. Thank you for letting me." The celebration continued late into the night, but Maya and Jun only had eyes for each other. When they finally cut the 7-tier cake, Maya laughed as Jun carefully fed her a bite, making sure not to mess her makeup. When she did the same for him, getting frosting on his chin, the photographer captured the moment. Pure joy on both their faces. Later, as guests began to leave, Maya stood on the estate's balcony overlooking the Seoul skyline. The city lights twinkled like earthbound stars, full of infinite possibility. Jun joined her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "Any regrets?" "Only one," Maya said, leaning back against his chest. "What's that?" "I regret that we lost so many years. But maybe we needed that time to become the people we were meant to be." The scared little girl and the lonely boy wouldn't have been ready for this love, Jun agreed. But the woman who survived everything, And the man who never stopped looking for her? They were perfect for each other. Maya turned in his arms, looking up at her husband, a word that still sent shivers of happiness through her. I love you, Jun Kong. I love you too, Maya Kong, for this lifetime and whatever comes after. As they kissed under the Seoul stars, Maya thought about the incredible journey that had brought them here. From an orphanage in Chicago to a palace in Seoul. From poverty and abuse to love and abundance. From believing she was nothing to knowing she was everything to the right person. Some love stories take a lifetime to write, she realized, but they're worth every page. Now, we want to know your opinion. From 0 to 10, what score does this story deserve?